Tesla chargers going up in flames. Investigators believe someone intentionally set them on fire around 1 o'clock Monday morning.
I happen to use these chargers often, and it's scary that someone would come and torch this because it's hazardous to society, hazardous to the air.
Just look at the vandalism to this $100,000 Tesla Cybertruck. Dozens of Cybertrucks at a parking lot in Fort Lauderdale were spray painted with a vulgar term directed at Tesla owner Elon.
Four Tesla Cybertrucks went up in flames at this storage lot in South Seattle. It comes as protests against Elon Musk and his role in the federal government have erupted across the country.
So once again, we are back to a period of time where people are encouraging violence and property destruction on behalf of left-wing causes, and it appears that the target of this particular violence is anyone and everyone who drives and or sells a Tesla for any reason at all whatsoever. And by the way, this is clearly and obviously politically motivated, as we can see many of the messages that are spray painted on these Tesla vehicles say F Elon or F Musk or have some reference to some political cause. And of course, it is being encouraged by people in the left wing like Kyle Kulinski, who's sharing all these different memes of Teslas being destroyed because it's all fun and games until somebody gets hurt. And for a lot of these left wing people, they think you deserve to get hurt because you dared to drive this vehicle. Now, I will point out that although Elon Musk has recently pivoted to the right, has recently become a part of the Trump camp, for a long time, this guy was the darling of the left wing. Very many of these people were praising these particular vehicles, were buying them up because electric was the way of the future. So oftentimes, the people who are being targeted with their personal vehicles are not right wing at all. They're left wing environmentalists who don't want to drive a gas powered vehicle, who know that Tesla is the best in the game in terms of electric vehicles. So you're targeting people who probably agree with you with these attacks. And in addition to that, they're targeting dealerships and all the regular ordinary instances of terrorism that you get from the left wing when they've decided to target somebody politically. We're talking fires at dealerships, all sorts of crazy stuff, and we got to break it down today because I think it's absolutely crucial that this gets addressed because it's already out of hand, but it's going to get even more out of hand. Now, before we get into this, I want to say thank you to everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money, okay?
Some vandals recorded themselves in the act. Across the USA, owners of the distinctive-looking vehicles say they're being targeted by strangers. Cybertruck owners are being flipped off in traffic.
That's probably happened about 3 times in the last 2 weeks.
They also wrote a nasty message. It's gotten so bad, Emler Morales won't take his purple Cybertruck certain places.
Mine is purple, so it grabs a lot of attention. And so I think twice about places I need to go to and make sure that I really need to go.
Dr. Kumate Jaroj got nasty calls when Cybertruck haters found out he was a doctor.
I hope you kill yourself. Please do the world a favor.
He told me to put a bullet in my brain.
So look, Trump won, Republicans won, and as promised during the campaign, Trump has put Elon Musk in some way, shape, or form in charge of an agency that is meant to audit other agencies in order to look for areas to cut in order to improve government efficiency. Now, this has led to the Trump administration trying to lay off a bunch of different federal workers and whatnot, and obviously this has caused a big kerfuffle among the left-wing news media, who absolutely loves federal workers, among the DC elite, again, who are largely profiting off of the excesses of the government. And of course, this has led them to spin this whole narrative about how Elon Musk is the real president, how he's the one in charge, how he's the Nazi. And this is why we see this really weird phenomenon where Trump's approval ratings aren't really going down all that much. They're actually remaining relatively stable, while Elon Musk's approval ratings are in the toilet because people think Elon is the real president, the man behind the curtain. And even though obviously he has influence in the Oval Office, that's just not the case. Trump is the guy in charge. And now we're seeing the results of that, which of course is a bunch of different various instances of vandalism, attacks. People are flipping off Tesla drivers, which I don't care about in the grand scheme of things. But overall, people are turning against this American car company.
Overnight, 4 Tesla Cybertrucks went up in flames at this storage lot in South Seattle. It comes as protests against Elon Musk and his role in the federal government have erupted across the country.
It's up to regular folks to show up and take back our country.
Evan Sutton is one of the organizers of the Tesla takedown protests. He says they are a non-violent movement.
Now, of course, you have this news story out of the city of Seattle where a bunch of Teslas in this storage area were set on fire. It was the Teslas specifically that were set on fire. And I will remind you guys that although there are fire suppressant systems in these electric vehicles, because if the battery catches fire, it can get out of hand relatively quickly, the fact of the matter is that is meant to deal with a fire that might spread within the vehicle. It's not necessarily meant to deal with the fact that these people are intentionally setting the vehicles on fire and thus putting people at broader risk. And not to mention, property destruction is horribly immoral. Doing so for your political causes is immoral. And eventually somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to die because of this. And it's absolutely unacceptable. And as somebody who never would buy an electric car, especially the way that I'm living right now, where I have nowhere to plug it in at home, I find this to be disgusting, even though I'm not going to be targeted. And probably I'm a little bit biased because I actually had my Honda stolen, again, completely unrelated to politics. So I know what damage to your personal vehicle can end up doing to somebody. And remember, I live in New York City where we have public transportation. Most of these people need their vehicle to get around. So all these instances of vandalism and attacks, ridiculous, absurd, and very destructive to the car owners.
We're not interested in damaging vehicles or harming people or property. We are interested in taking down the stock price of Tesla so that we can send a clear message to Elon Musk and to Donald Trump that they need to stop destroying our government.
Sutton says their objectives are clear.
We want to make sure that people are discouraged from buying a new Tesla. We're encouraging individuals to dump their stock and to, if they have a Tesla, to sell it.
After the November 8th election, Tesla stock began to climb, reaching an all-time high on December 17th of $479.86 per share. Since then, the stock has dropped to just over $220 per share. Monday, stocks plummeted 15%, the company's steepest drop in 5 years.
Now, this guy right here says we are a non-violent movement. We're just trying to bring down the price of Tesla as a form of protest. He's talking about the stock, and we're not actually encouraging people to target vehicles or anything of the sort. And while I'm happy that he's saying that, the fact of the matter is the undergirding philosophy in this is violent. They are encouraging it, and many left-wing people aren't even hiding the fact that they're encouraging the destruction and targeting of these vehicles and of the drivers of those vehicles. Because again, it's not just the Tesla dealerships with the vehicles that are unsold or the vehicles that are on their particular lot. It's everyday Tesla owners that are experiencing the consequences of this hysteria related to Elon Musk, when in reality, if you're concerned about the cuts that are going into effect from Doge, they're not really happening to any great degree. And by the way, the Trump administration had lost one of its major court cases related to budget pauses and budget cuts that they wanted to initiate. So the system is actually working. The barriers and whatnot, in order to prevent them from doing too much quote unquote damage in the opinion of these people, is actually there. But in reality, these people don't care and they want to do damage. And there's no coincidence that a lot of these instances are happening in places like Seattle, Austin, or other left-wing places that were known for Antifa violence and Antifa riots. Again, Seattle is where we got Chaz or CHOP, the autonomous zone, if you remember that. Well, one of the things that you should also remember is that virtually nobody who participated, the members of Antifa, in the Black Lives Matter rioting, in the destruction, in the declaring themselves a sovereign state separate from the overall country and all that other craziness, was arrested. All of those people are still there. They just went into hiding for a couple of years because Democrat boss was in charge, but they're still active. They're still participating and they are still ready to go. And they know that there was no consequences last time. So they're reinitiating the violence once again this time.
So now, as you all know, it is not safe to have a Tesla. Like literally, and I'm putting aside all the bullshit about the self-driving car, which it wasn't, and it was crashing, and the Cybertruck, which is notoriously not safe. Worse than the Ford Pinto, which was like the number one, hey, this car isn't safe. It's not safe because there's vandalism everywhere. Tesla dealerships are getting burnt down. Charging stations are getting burnt down. I've seen Cybertrucks and Teslas with graffiti on them, and they're calling them swastikars, and they're putting swastikas on the car. And some people with Teslas are putting bumpers on that said, hey man, I bought this before I knew Elon was crazy, so give me a pass. Right? This is where we're at. So yeah, the actual economic boycotts of Elon are kind of working. They're kind of working. Tesla's imploding. The whole Tesla stock price is tied directly to Elon Musk, and Elon Musk's reputation is completely tarnished.
So here we have Kyle Kulinski talking about how this is where we're at. We're just in this moment in time where people are destroying these vehicles without an ounce of condemnation for the attacks on the vehicles, the dealerships, or the charging stations. In fact, he says the economic boycott, wink, wink, totally working. I mean, we're really doing it right here, and this is because Elon is crazy, according to Kyle Kulinski, even though, again, it's because the left does not know how to engage with normal politics unless they're winning, so they decide to burn the whole thing down when they lose, and it's absolutely shameful and disgusting. We saw this with Antifa attacking Trump supporters and regular ordinary people for the first 4 years that Trump was president, and now it's back, and again, it is fueled by these left-wing people that are hyping it up and cheering it on. And again, he's more direct and posting the memes on Twitter.com, but right here, you don't have any condemnation for these violent acts. It's just like, oh, it's working. And then he goes on to talk about how Elon Musk, biggest welfare queen of all.
By the way, I should also point out, Elon Musk takes $8 million per day in U.S. tax money. He's the biggest fucking welfare queen in the country. He's taken $38 billion from you and me, from U.S. taxpayers.
Now, of course, this $38 billion sounds like a lot of money because it is a lot of money. However, Kyle is intentionally being misleading and deceptive and not giving you the overall context. First and foremost, Kyle Kulinski is the exact kind of person who supports these kind of handouts for green energy companies, and now, disingenuously, because Elon Musk has gone against his particular narrative, he's all angry and indignant about it. But in addition to that, Tesla's value is $777 billion right now, right at this moment at the time that I'm filming. So, of course, $38 billion compared to that market cap would seem like a good investment, would seem like good value. And in addition to that, many of the monies that were given to Tesla, in terms of the actual company Tesla, were in the form of loans that were paid back by programs that Kyle Kulinski endorsed. You never see this guy ranting and raving about Solyndra. In fact, I'm sure back in the day, when this was a scandal under the Obama administration, he was defending it, saying it's an isolated incident or whatever.
So, Mr. Anti-Government Fundamentalist, right? We love capitalism, we hate socialism, bro. Return all that money. Return all that money with interest.
Well, it turns out Tesla borrowed less money under the same energy program that gave Solyndra, that scam company, that $500 million loan, and paid it back early with interest. Now, of course, when a company actually scams the federal government, that's no big deal to Kyle. That's nothing to worry about. However, when Tesla becomes successful and Elon Musk goes against his political agenda, then you're the biggest welfare queen there is. Now, of course, we also have to point out that General Motors received $42 billion in the auto bailout in just over a year's worth of time, again, for running their company terribly. And of course, there's the additional corruption that puts Tesla at a competitive disadvantage that was instituted under the Biden administration's Build Back Better plan, which added an extra $4,500 in tax credits to consumers who buy electric cars that are made by U.S. manufacturers as long as they have a UAW workforce. And since Tesla doesn't have that, even though it was the best electric car and probably still is the best electric car, their buyers don't get eligible for that credit because Joe Biden is paying back the union that helped him get into office. Again, all this corruption for a company that we've already bailed out that's not successful on its own, and Kyle doesn't give a damn about that, but Tesla bad because Elon Musk dareth not side with the Democrats. He bought Twitter, and they stopped censoring Twitter on behalf of my left-wing beliefs, so I'm very sad about that. My name's Kyle Kulinski. Look at my dye job. Look at my earring.
There have been at least 10 acts of vandalism against Tesla in recent weeks. In January, police in Colorado say Molotov cocktails were hurled by a suspect at a Tesla dealership. In Massachusetts, police say more than half a dozen Tesla charging stations have been intentionally set on fire. And in Tigard, Oregon, police say several shots were fired at a Tesla dealership, damaging cars and shattering windows.
Now, to be 100% clear, it is not in any way, shape, or form acceptable to target somebody based on the vehicle, whether that person holds your political beliefs or doesn't hold it. If somebody bought a Tesla because they're a big Trump supporter and Elon backed Trump, therefore they like Elon, so they're going to try the electric vehicle or whatever, you are not justified in attacking their vehicle and attacking them and destroying their property in order to express your anger related to cuts to USAID. That's absurd. That's ridiculous. That's insane. So again, even if that person holds your political beliefs, fully supports Doge, fully supports Elon, he's a Elon bro in every way, shape, or form, it's not justified, and you should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And by the way, your political motivation should be taken into account, and you should get the appropriate enhancements for doing something on behalf of your political cause. But in many of these cases, the long-term Tesla owners are just left-wing environmentalists. You're targeting people who are largely aligned with you because, again, only a few years ago, Elon Musk, before he bought Twitter, was the darling of the left wing. They all love this guy. Let us not forget, the real reason they hate Elon Musk is because he bought the left-wing journalist's favorite platform and opened it up and made it more balanced. It was overwhelming to the left wing. Something like 2/3 of the posts were left-wing or supportive of the Democrats, and now post the election, it was 49% to 49%. And the left, who's used to having artificial cultural dominance in all these different various institutions, having the rules rigged on their behalf, having their opponents censored, feel like that equality is oppression, and that's why they hate Elon Musk so much. Now, the fact that he ended up backing Trump later on didn't make it better. It made it significantly worse. So now we're seeing these acts of vandalism, these acts of terrorism, and it's only a matter of time before this escalates and somebody gets hurt. And honestly, do you really think it's fair and sensible for somebody, I don't know, if you set a fire and one of these batteries explodes, that works at a Tesla dealership to die as a consequence of that? Is that acceptable? Does that send the message that you're very upset about USAID because of humanitarian reasons? Like, what the hell is wrong with you people? You're absolutely monstrous. Remember, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez drove a Tesla. She might have sold it at some point in time, but she was a Tesla owner because of the electric vehicle and the Green New Deal and climate change and all of that. Should her vehicle be targeted for destruction because Elon Musk is a no-no person? Now, of course, there would be some irony in that, some hilarious irony in that, because Ocasio-Cortez is one of the people who's stoking the flames of extremism against Elon Musk, but I would not want that to happen to her. I would not want her vehicle to be targeted or anything of the sort, because this is not how reasonable, rational people should engage with politics. But that's the thing. The left abandoned this long ago. The right wing got angry. They started registering people to vote. They started doing all this sensible stuff within the process, setting aside the people who rioted at the Capitol, because that was one day and one riot. They started engaging more. They started registering people. We had that guy in Pennsylvania who was registering the Amish in order to win the election, in order to win the appropriate way. The Democrats immediately go to destruction. They're talking about taking their country back in February, or now it's technically March, 2 months after inauguration, or not even 2 full months after inauguration. They're already resulting to violence.
The incident comes as Tesla vehicles and dealerships have been targeted in response to CEO Elon Musk's cost-cutting measures in the Trump administration.
If it was a targeted event, I'm sure it was because of him for sure, but who knows?
Law enforcement hasn't said what the motive may have been or if it was a political statement.
Well, I think it's a very dangerous thing to do.
Nearby residents say if this was done as a message to Elon Musk and the Trump administration, this is not the way to do it.
I don't believe violence is going to change anything. I don't think anyone is going to listen if you're burning things down and putting other people in danger.
The fire chief says despite an arsonist on the loose, people in the area should not be worried.
We do believe that this is isolated in terms of the risk within our community to these particular chargers.
Look, I don't care what your opinion is of Elon Musk, Tesla, electric vehicles overall, Donald Trump, the Democrats, or anything of the sort. This is not the proper way for the American people to engage with their politics. And anybody who's encouraging this, anybody who's not condemning it and sharing memes like Kyle Kulinski to promote it because he has the full-on Elon derangement syndrome, is making this country worse. And they're showing you, by the way, that they're willing to destroy this nation in order to get what they want politically. Now, I actually had a viral tweet where I was making fun of this particular attitude, and I obviously took it way over the top. But the thing is, a lot of people thought it was real, and that is because people were stupid, obviously, not very smart, not very bright at all whatsoever. Even in the replies, I was trolling them, but they would just never get the joke. But also because it wasn't that far off. Even though I tried to exaggerate to the nth degree, the fact of the matter is, a lot of these people are beyond exaggeration. They're beyond parody. I mean, how many people are fully endorsing the murder of that United Healthcare CEO? And by the way, some of you get mad at me because I bring this up and I bring up my moral standards around this and how I don't give a damn that he was the CEO of United Healthcare. Murdering him in the street is not a good way to achieve your political objective. And by the way, I will also add that nothing has changed in the healthcare system. Make no mistake about it, you bloodthirsty animals. Nobody was made better off based on that murder. Do you guys understand that? So you didn't even achieve what you wanted. But make no mistake about it, that same attitude that justifies that brutal murder is the same attitude that is justifying the vandalism of these different Teslas around the country, that is justifying the attacks on the dealerships and all these other problems that we're seeing. And you have a lot of left-wing idiots that are absolute buffoons that will show pictures of police guarding these particular areas, and the reason they're guarding these areas is because those are where the threats are. Those are where the bomb threats are coming in. That's where the vandalism is happening. And typically, when you have an area that is being targeted by criminals, the police tend to go to this area. This is like saying that, wow, there sure is a lot of cops in that woman's house after she called in a domestic abuse complaint. It really goes to show you how capitalism, blah, 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 is ruining everything. It's like, shut up, you absolute idiots. Obviously, the police are going to be there because the crime is going down there, because you are encouraging the crime to happen there. But you know what? These are just my thoughts related to this. Obviously, I think it's going to get worse, and I will point out that if you're on the left wing and you think this is a good idea, more times than not, because Elon Musk was the darling of the left for a full decade prior to being embraced by the right wing and prior to him embracing Trump, you're attacking people who share your beliefs, who are concerned about the environment, and thought an electric vehicle was the best way to go. Now, again, I'm going to open the floor up to you guys out there in the audience. Let me know what you think about all this. As per usual, if you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about Teslas being targeted because Elon bad. Till next time.